Hello and welcome to A Bit A Lot, where we talk a bit about a lot. No graphic content will be shown in these videos. We will leave it up to you if you wish to do more research into the specific conditions that animals are put through in animal testing. In today's video we ask, what is animal testing? The definition of animal testing is the use of animals in experiments. Now that may seem obvious, but animal testing goes far deeper than that. In the late 1800s, vivisection was the primary use of animals in experiments, but if you fast forward to today, animals are being tested on in many sectors, showing us that animal testing of some kind has been used for centuries. In this series of videos we discuss the basis of animal testing, the facts, alternatives, and what we as consumers can do. We've spoken to experts in the field of preventing animal cruelty, and consumers too, to get their take and knowledge about the ins and outs of animal testing.
My name is Dr Katy Taylor. I'm Director of Science and Regulatory Affairs at Cruelty Free International, which is an animal protection organisation based in London.
Firstly, we wanted to know which industries actually use animal testing.
So animal testing is quite ubiquitous across a range of sectors. Obviously, animals are used to test medicines, human medicines and veterinary medicines. They're still used in some countries to test cosmetics, household products, food ingredients, pesticides, biocides. Animal testing is actually everywhere.
Pesticides and biocides are chemical or biological products intended to prevent or deter animals, plants, or microorganisms from causing damage to human health or property.
A huge amount of animals are used in regulatory toxicity testing in those sectors to see if products are safe or they work for humans. But a huge amount of animals are also used in universities. Around about 50% are used for basic medical research in universities across the world.
We wanted to know where in the world animal tests are taking place.
So around 200 million animals are used around the world in research and testing. Just about every country does some animal testing. Europe is a big user of animal tests, so is the USA, China, Japan, South America. The laws relating to animal testing do vary around the world. Europe is generally seen as having the best laws to protect animals used in science. But we would actually argue against that because Europe is a huge user of animals in research. Around about 11 million are used every year in Europe. They're still subjected to some horrendous tests for very spurious reasons. So I wouldn't say that the European Union is a beacon of hope, but it certainly has the strongest laws. And we've known ever since the start of vivisection in the late 1800s that it's not good science to test on another species. If you want to know what's going to happen in humans, there's huge species differences there, and we've seen examples across the last 100 years of where testing on animals has failed. So it's not the best science either, and really in the 21st century we should be using other methods than animals.
So, what are the alternatives to animal testing?
So we now have replacements for a range of what's called endpoints, skin irritation, eye irritation, to test if something's going to give you a skin allergy, and also some basic kind of acute toxicity tests. We now have alternatives for those, and they can be used across the sectors. There's no real difference between the sectors in that case. The pharmaceutical industry have been using alternatives to animals for many years, but the problems we see there is that they do the alternatives alongside the animal tests, so they're not really replacing animals. And that's partly because the regulators are still insisting on seeing animal test data. They don't feel very confident in accepting alternatives.
What are the main arguments against animal testing?
The first argument against animal testing is on moral grounds. So we believe it's wrong to cause pain, suffering and distress to another individual if they do not consent to that and they do not benefit, and that applies whether you're doing something to a human or to a rat or a monkey. And we say those animals can definitely feel pain. There's increasing evidence that they have very complicated emotional lives, and we should protect them. It's not that they should have the same rights as us, but they should certainly have the right to freedom from incarceration and being caused suffering when they won't benefit.
So, that's a brief introduction into animal testing. Please join us in our next video where we'll be talking about animal testing in cosmetics. We really hope you enjoyed the video and you learnt a bit about a lot. See you in the next one.